Unfortunately, this is not an All-American certificate. It's just an All-Region certificate. 8th place Northeast Regional Cross Country. Yay. Hi there, Coach Sage here with a kind of a rant training talk. Why I continued on in NCAA Division I athletics running in college. This is more video for you young whippersnappers out there, but if you also are into lifelong running, the goal setting process, things you could learn, I just wanted to share my story here. So first off, I'm a lot older than you young whippersnappers. I graduated college almost 10 years ago. It was less than 10 years ago, but I was in college about 10 years ago on average, and I ran Division I. It wasn't a big powerhouse program, and it was a great experience. I loved it looking back. You're always fond on your past memories, I think, but I'll kind of go through the process of what I went through in college running, whether you want to run after high school and at what level, and some factors and considerations that I'm lucky I made in my past and helped propel me to post-collegiate running and where I am today. So the first thing, people get caught up on the divisions here in the US, Division I, Division II, Division III, NAIA, at what level you want to run at in college. If you could even run on a college club team. A lot of great Division I programs have intramural sports and club teams that are actually really good on the good programs, and it kind of all trickles down. So it kind of depends. Your times, track coaches do look at your track times in high school, and specifically your junior year, because they could certify that a track is a legit distance. Cross country times get all thrown out of whack because sometimes you run courses that are only 4.8, 4.9K, or you run a 3-mile course, you run a 5K, or it's long, or there's bad weather conditions and it's windy. So they look at relative place. Where do you place in your conference? Where do you place in your region? Where do you place at states for cross country? But a lot of it's from at the cutoff your senior year, fall of your senior year, because you're already having to apply to colleges, and maybe even earlier if you're going early decisions. So that puts a lot of pressure on your junior track times. And for me, I actually ran slower as a junior in high school than I did as a sophomore. So I put down my sophomore track times, and I wasn't even going to run in college. Even my late junior year, I was thinking, you know, if you're not top 10 at states in cross country as a senior, this was large school Oregon division going against guys like Galen Rupp. So it was pretty competitive. I was like, if you're not top 10 at states, you don't deserve to run in college, especially D1. And I ended up 13th at state. And I was like, well, I love running. I got a passion for it. I'd love to explore running in college. Like maybe 13th is close enough to top 10. So I kind of just let that slide. But my track times were not stellar. I'd run a 9:01 3K, which was really good for a sophomore, but that was my PR because I ran 9:07 for 3K as a junior. So I put down my 9:01 sophomore year track time. I still hadn't broken 16 minutes for 5K until my senior year when I actually shattered it. But until then, I wasn't top 10 at states. I never made states in track in Oregon, large school division. And we only had 4 divisions back then. I think they have 6 now, but I digress. So I looked at a lot of different schools, and a lot of the schools I applied to were on the East Coast. Being from the West Coast, that's a long distance, but they were Division III. There were more Division III schools than Division I schools that I applied to. I applied Division I, but I wasn't totally set on Division I, and I didn't know if I was going to make it. And you know, through the recruiting process, you want to get a feel for the team. You talk to the college coach, you go on a campus visit, you get the lay of the land, you talk to guys who are in college on the team to get their perspective, especially the older guys. And I think it's kind of funny because on YouTube you see all these videos now of a lot of college runners, undergrads, talking about maybe quitting the sport or quitting their team, and it's their freshman year. And it's what I see now, being an old fart, is that your mindset and your perspective changes a lot when you're in college. And I was at Cornell for 5 years, so got a longer experience, and to look back on those years. And freshman year sucked. Freshman year was so rough. You're transitioning, you're homesick. The classes are way harder. I thought I was good at calculus in high school. I was horrible at calculus relative to my engineering teammates in the College of Engineering, because half of them, the mode score on the SAT was an 800 for math, and I'm coming in and I realize I'm not super great at calculus, upper level calculus. So I'm flailing around, changing my majors, changing departments and schools within the university, and trying to find your way. You're trying to find your way. I gained the freshman 15 pounds of fat within 2 or 3 months, all you could eat dining calls doesn't mean it's all healthy food. And I'm stuffing my face with pizza and pancakes, not eating enough veggies, just ice cream. They had this dairy bar. I was the heaviest I had ever been in my whole life. My freshman year of college, I was overtrained. I was trying to push my mileage up to 80, 90 miles a week for the first time after running up to 60 or 70 in high school. Everything's harder. You think you're smart and fast when you're in high school. When you get to college, you realize you are slow and dumb. So that's what freshman year is, a tough transitional time. It's just a tough age in general. Even if you weren't being thrown into university, that age, late teenage years, early 20s could be very transitional for a lot of people. And this is even in developed first world countries where we have first world types of these problems, it still is a transition. And some people struggle with it, and you get thrown all sorts of curveballs in life and things that are out of your control, and how you react to them is a big test of your character. And as you go through life, you learn that. But you get more perspective with more years in school and university. And my freshman and sophomore year were very rough for me. Whereas junior and senior year, super senior year, I loved it. I loved running in college. I loved my new major. I loved the classes. I loved all the guys on the team. My teammates are my best friends who I'm still in contact with now. And it was a great time when I look back on it. But it's hard. Balancing academics and athletics. And I also worked in the gym for part of my financial aid student work study. It was a tough balance, but you look back on it, and compared to real world life, not that I've had much experience in that, it's a great time because you could really focus on your athletics, you could really focus on running, and you could focus on finding yourself and applying yourself, because those textbooks aren't going to read themselves, and those problem sets and that paper aren't going to write themselves. It's all about applying yourself and getting the most out of what you want in terms of your education, which is usually very expensive. And we'll talk about financial aid here in a second, because that's a big consideration as well, weighing in on people's choice whether they're on an athletic scholarship. I was not. The Ivy League does not offer pure athletic scholarships based on running performance, but they had a very generous financial aid package. And because my family is very, very middle class in the US, I got a very generous financial aid package. Some of it was loans, but some of it was grants. And there were little scholarships based on things like academic merit and other things that you could get that would help that round out that financial aid package. So it's not this insane cost, although prices of colleges have gone up quite a bit over the years, price of education, as well as the competitiveness. There's more kids going to four-year universities or getting their degrees. So it's a different time period now, and I get that. I get that social media, the social media game has changed with college kids making YouTube videos. I was making YouTube videos in college. I had my YouTube channel 10 years ago and I was doing some videos, and it was a lot of fun, but the rules are different now. People definitely there's more emphasis on being distracted with social media. I mean, that's just the nature of how times change. Prices of tuition go up, things like that. So when I joined college, or my freshman year of college, we had just got on Facebook, for example, and there were like 12 schools on Facebook. We didn't even know it was going to be this thing across the country or even worldwide. We just thought it was these Northeast schools on this little social network. There was no Instagram or anything like that. Growing up in high school, no one had smartphones or anything like that. So, it's a different time period, and I realize that. You got to take the time period and put that into perspective. But where am I going with this? So I guess what I'm saying is, not everyone who even wants to run Division I in college or wants to run at the college level, you might not necessarily have the finances, you might not have the support, parental support, or just the wherewithal to get into running in a program that you dream of, but you could still run in college or in school at some level, whether it's as a club member, or maybe instead of running Division I, you run Division II, and that could be a very good fit for you. But you got to explore, visit campus, see what the academic programs that you're interested in, or maybe interested in. Most freshmen change their major. I changed my major like 4 times to see what kind of feel you're getting. And I did write some things down so I didn't say too many times. yeah, it was a changing time. YouTube had just really come out. We were watching Numa dance videos. I was uploading videos though junior year in college, but the social media game has definitely changed. I struggled as a freshman. I wanted to transfer. I wanted to quit. I didn't want to quit running, although I was running really, really bad. So I gave you my sophomore times. I wasn't running much faster as a freshman in college as a sophomore in high school. That's how bad it was. But eating a lot of unhealthy dining hall food certainly did not help, as well as overtraining and just making the adjustment. It was really hard. I had to change my major. I basically was thinking about quitting. I got the transfer papers out. Part of the reason I took 5 years was because I took a semester off even to go home and work at Cold Stone Ice Cream and still take classes. But yeah, it was kind of hard, but it's character building, and those transitions are bound to happen at some point in your life. You're bound to face some adversity, and so responding to that, learning, growing through that, and that process is all part of life and getting older. So you could always try to walk on to a team if you don't quite meet the standards. Coaches throw out a lot of really fast times depending on the program, and there's a huge variation in Division I programs. You've got Division I programs that are way weaker than some Division II powerhouse programs, and then you've got different Division III programs that are a lot stronger than Division I programs, and even some club teams that are really, really competitive. But you could even train by yourself in college if you really love running, and for me it's all about lifelong running, and I knew I wanted to run on a team and have that supportive network, because there's never going to be a time in your life where you usually get that much support to focus on your running. Maybe if you're pro after college, but you get a ton of support. You got your teammates, you got your coach, you got the facilities, you've got probably some gear thrown at you, you've got transportation to races, and you don't have to worry about paying entry fees or lotteries and things like that. So it's a very unique time in your life where you could really buckle down and just focus on improving yourself and kind of be selfish in that regard. But at the same time, everyone's got a different journey, and everyone's going to have different opportunities and different doors that open and close based on some of their decisions they make. And it's really going to come down to the theme that I mentioned earlier of just applying yourself in academics, applying yourself as growing as a person, as a young adult, and then applying yourself in whatever your dreams are, be that whether it's running or maybe something else. In conclusion, of course, I'm glad I stuck through running. There were a lot of guys that quit the team. There were people that got chronically injured all the time for whatever reasons, and people that just, their interest wasn't there, or they wanted to focus more on academics. And it's all about applying yourself in college or even in your young adult years. And I realized that I came from a unique background because I basically went right into running right after college, graduating in 2009. Not a great economic climate in the US for pursuing a regular work career anyway, but I had the opportunity, and I was very fortunate and very lucky, and I still am today, to be surrounded by not just a network of teammates that I'm living with and running with, but by you guys on the social media networks. That's a supportive network. The sponsors, title sponsor HOKA11, for people that buy the products from my sponsors that also support me, and just having your support on social media really is what has made it possible for me. And I do realize that. I'm extremely grateful and thankful for that, and there's not a single day that I take for granted in this lifestyle, because I know there's a certain time period, and it's fleeting. You never know what's going to happen in the future. I want to be a lifelong runner. I want to try to run as competitive for as long as possible. I freaking love this sport, but I could be in a car accident today. So you have to take things in stride. You have to embrace the present moment, plan for the future, and fondly remember the past. Learn from past mistakes, I guess, mainly is what I'm saying. But the bottom line comes down to the college running experience is applying yourself. There's not going to be this magic track fairy that sprinkles the magic track pixie dust that's going to make you fast. It's going to be hard work, making smart choices, consistency, and that goes with academics as well. Applying yourself to what you're interested in and growing and learning as a person. The professor's not just going to hold your hand and get you that A+. I didn't get very many A+ in school. It was very hard, but that's really the bottom line. That's what I want to say with this video. Don't quit. Be passionate. If you do quit, be passionate about something else, I guess, And yeah, don't let other people judge you too harshly. Don't be too critical. Try to always look for the positive side of things and look for growth and look for helping others in society. Thanks so much, guys. Really appreciate your support. Be sure to subscribe if you like these types of videos. There'll be more directly running related videos, my training, vlogs, eating, things like that, stuff you guys want to hear about. Thanks so much. Check out the playlists. We sell training plans, coaching plans, 5K to 100 miles on our website, sagerunning.com. Thanks so much, and stay tuned for more.